Hey, what's good, self-direct investors? I hope you're all doing great, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jordan. I'm the mind behind Make More Capital, and today we're coming at you with a special Friday episode to relay some New Jersey news and to walk through Curaleaf's earnings. Now, before we jump in, if you enjoy this video and you learned something, please just leave a like on it as it really helps out my channel. And of course, if you want to learn how to take advantage of this generational investment opportunity, subscribe below so that you don't miss any future videos, and then there's plenty of content for you to go back, rewatch, and educate yourself with. I've tried to put all the news and facts in one place so that you can watch episodes over time to learn about the evolution of the industry, identify top companies that you keep seeing pop up, and take advantage whenever you're ready. We're going to start with Curaleaf as they report their fourth quarter and fiscal year end 2021 results after market close yesterday, announcing a record fiscal year 2021 revenue of $1.2 billion and an adjusted EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, of $298 million, representing an increase of 93% and 107% year over year respectively. And for this latest quarter, they brought in revenue of $320 million and an adjusted EBITDA of $80 million, representing an increase of 39% and 48% year over year. And while we can see the sequential growth slowing down temporarily, as this represents quarter over quarter growth of just 1%, do keep in mind that, again, if New Jersey would have launched 9 months ago or 6 months ago or 3 months ago, this would have been a much different story, much like Green Thumb's earnings. But I also want to add, because I didn't even add this in my last video, Croptober, which is the fact that a lot of the illegal cannabis grown out west is harvested in October and then brought across the country and sold at discounted prices in November and December, which certainly has effect on the legal market. So considering they still managed some growth despite Croptober, and at the same time, whatever domestic supply chain issues that the US might have come across over the last few months, the fact that they've still continued to grow with their hands tied behind their backs with 280E and all of the restrictions that they have against them, I still deem this very impressive. So as an investor and not a trader, looking at this industry with a very long-term lens and that's willing to be patient, I do very much like what I see. So let's take a look at the full year 2021 financial highlights. And while we can get nitpicky about the quarter over quarter changes, I do think it's easiest to just look year over year and anticipate how much bigger this industry is just going to get over the coming decade, because it ain't going to slow down. So if we look at full year 2020 numbers, despite the uncertainty of a once-in-a-century pandemic plus some stimulus spending, they brought in $626 million, while in full year 2021, without any stimulus, they managed to increase that to $1.2 billion, which represents a 93% year-over-year change, which I think is very significant. And if we look at gross profit on cannabis sales, from $275 million last year to $585 million this year, which represents a 113% change year-over-year as well. While their gross margins on cannabis sales did increase from 46.9% last year to 48.5%, and they increased their adjusted EBITDA from $144 million up to $298 million, which represents a 107% year-over-year increase as well. And while their net loss from operations did increase from $57 million in all of 2020 up to $101 million in all of 2021, do keep in mind that this is the cost of aggressively expanding in order to establish yourself as the #1 cannabis company, not just in North America, but globally, as that is Curaleaf's goal with their expansion into Europe as well. And for example, if you were to compare Curaleaf's full year 2021 net loss from operations to Canopy's third quarter fiscal 2022 financial summary, where they suffered a net loss of $115.5 million in this latest quarter, which represents an 86% increase from the third quarter 1 year ago. And while do keep in mind this is in Canadian dollars compared to USD, so it's not apples to apples, but I think you can see what I'm getting at, highlighting that the MSOs are just much more fundamentally healthy than many of the Canadian LPs, and for that reason they are going to reach profitability sooner. And I did listen to the conference call yesterday, and Boris mentioned that they do think that they will be profitable and post positive net income from operations in 2022. So the future is bright for a lot of these MSOs. So if we scroll down, you can pause to read the snippet here from Boris Jordan. And then if we look at fourth quarter 2021 operating highlights, I'm not going to go through these as well as I've covered them over the past few months, but you can pause to read if you like. But just to recap some of their full year highlights, as they increased retail locations from 96 to 117 as of December 31st, 2021. And they reached approximately 2,300 active wholesale accounts as of December 31st, 2021, an increase of over 90% from year-end 2020, and they grew their cultivation sites from 23 to 25 and expanded total cultivation and production capacity by over 2.5 million square feet to approximately 4.4 million square feet, thanks to the completion of their acquisition of Los Sueños Farms, the largest outdoor grow in Colorado. While significant focus on research and development activities did drive the introduction of 147 new products in their markets, with approximately 11% of full year 2021 revenue generated by new products alone launched in the last 12 months. Plus, they did get into Europe Europe as they entered the European market through the successful acquisition of EMAC Life Sciences that they rebranded to Curaleaf International. And some post-fourth quarter highlights that have happened in the recent months as they completed the acquisition of Bloom Dispensaries, adding 4 retail locations and 2 cultivation and processing facilities totaling 62,500 square feet in Arizona, while continuing to organically expand their retail footprint, opening 2 additional dispensaries in Florida and 3 in Pennsylvania, giving them 126 dispensaries nationwide as of March 3rd. And as we can see, that's very important when we look at the breakdown of their revenue, as retail is a major revenue driver. And so if we compare quarter over quarter, the growth was not great given all the circumstances and the incompetence from New Jersey regulators. The retail increased from Q3 224 million to 225 million, while their wholesale increased from 92 million up to 93 million, with some other management fee income giving them their total revenue 317 million up to 320. But do keep in mind the significant year-over-year increase from 164 in 2020 Q4 to 225 in 2021 Q5, with wholesale revenue up from 64 million up to 93. And so while they are focusing on getting more accounts and expanding their wholesale revenue, definitely seems like their main driver is retail, and so that is why they do want to open more locations and do that organically. While the gross profit on cannabis sales did significantly increase as well, highlighting that they are cutting their costs and improving their operational efficiencies. Because if we look at the cost of goods sold, we can see that in Q3 of 2021 they spent 172 million in order to make 316 million, leaving them with a gross profit on cannabis sales of 144 million. But this most recent quarter, they actually spent 12 million less, 160 million, to make a little bit more, 319 million, leaving them with 14 million more in profit, 158 million, up from 144, simply due to the fact that over time they're getting better at cutting their costs and improving their efficiencies, allowing them to keep more revenue over time. And that is what you want to see out of a sustainable business, as they have gross profit margins on cannabis sales up to 50% from 45.6 last quarter and up from 47.8 1 year ago. So while I don't own shares of Curaleaf myself, simply because I've already invested all of my disposable cash into other MSOs, you best believe that I've been considering selling some of my Goodness Growth shares, which will convert into Verano in time, to get some exposure into Curaleaf at these ridiculously low valuations, like a $5 billion market cap. Because in time, that also looks like a deal that would be too good to pass up. But just wanted to relay this because all in all, seeing what Curaleaf has put out and seeing what Green Thumb put out on Tuesday, it makes me very bullish on the industry overall and still very happy to be fully invested regardless. And so just wanted to share this one before we get to the other news of New Jersey, as Trulieve Cannabis Corp to hold their 4th quarter and full year 2021 results conference call on March 30th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, following the release of its 4th quarter and full year 2021 results. And so MSOs are switching it up a bit and spreading out when they are going to release their earnings, as opposed to in the past when they would typically release them in bunches, which was nice to see as they were anticipating the high growth, but better that they are strategically spreading it out now, maybe because they're trying to time it with some sort of news release from a state that's decided to get off of their ass and finally launch their adult use program. As MJ Stock Trader tweets, relaying what Boris said in the conference call yesterday, we anticipate recreational sales in New Jersey to start by May 1, and we have enough inventory to serve the medical and rec market, said Boris Jordan. He might have said on May 1, and on the conference call I listened to it and I can confirm he did say that. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because obviously they can delay it from now until then, but for him to refer to a specific date on a conference call like this with confidence gives us reason to believe that he has been reassured that there is progress being made on the back end and that New Jersey will launch sooner than later, especially given the fact that the governor has been calling for it and said that it will launch within weeks. And so just to add some 2 cents from some New Jersey residents, this one from Christopher Norman, he says that puts in play an announcement being made at the March 24th Cannabis Control Commission meeting, followed by a 30-day delay afterward. And then this comes from Rick Grofsick, a CFP out of New Jersey resident here. The wait is very real. Residents are extremely disappointed in Phil Murphy, to say the least, after passing with 80% vote in November of 2020. So the demand will be big once the green light hits, as it's been building by the week for over 15 months now. So folks, keep your eyes out for May 1st, as that could be the day that New Jersey does finally launch. And for those that are more interested in a deeper dive, I just wanted to share this from Seishu Midacherla. So I do apologize, Seishu, if I pronounced your name wrong. But thank you for doing a deep dive into Curaleaf's Q4 earnings and for sharing it openly with us on Twitter, because as I'm a self-taught investor, I mostly learn as I go, but I do not feel confident enough to do any sort of analysis. But I'm very happy to share the accounts of other people that are willing to do that if it's going to help you, take in this information, share it with what you already know, and make better investment decisions. So you can pause to read point 1, 2, and point 3. And then as well from point 4, point 5, point 6, point 7, you can pause to read. Then from point 8, A, B, C, D, point 9, point 10, and then point 11 12, 13, and end. Otherwise, you can grab the link below. That is it for today's episode, folks. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I really hope you got some value out of it. What did you think of the stories mentioned? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions, and I'd be happy to address them. But besides that, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, please just leave a like on it. Subscribe below if you don't want to miss any future videos, and I will catch you on Sunday for This Week in Cannabis News. Have a great weekend, everybody.